live, going live, and you are live. What is going on, everybody? RogersBase here. Hello and welcome to what I believe is going to be an absolutely massive One Piece reaction stream. We have so much to get through today. We have one new manga chapter. Of course, we've got One Piece manga chapter 1150 and a double anime reaction for One Piece anime episode. I believe it's 1130 and then also 1131, which is the new one that's coming out today. Now, as always, I will timestamp everything, so if you want to avoid manga spoilers, you can just skip ahead to the timestamp. If you're somebody who just is here for the anime stuff, you could do that. If you're somebody who's just here for the manga, stick around for the first part, but I also will be uploading this as a video too, so don't worry. Everything will be available for everybody. Hope you're having a lovely morning. I'm seeing Hollow, I'm seeing Nighthawk, Aaron, Zoro, lots of familiar faces in here already. Hello and welcome. Hello, hello, hello. Let me record this as well. Boom. Everything is looking good. All right, I see Leslie going, Big Raj, we are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, well, no delay. I think the chapter is already up on Viz. Let's click, refresh. Oh, no, it's not yet. Let me see if it's on Manga Plus, and then we'll get started. You're not ready? I'm extremely excited, extremely excited. Oh, here we go. Okay, here it is. It's on Manga Plus. One Piece manga chapter 1150. This one is called Domi Reversi, which I'm assuming is going to be the name of an attack or something. Very cool, though, all right? We're looking at the front page. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 34. The Enma Shrine in Hakumai. Yasui's sword is enshrined, and the pilgrimage is complete. 34 volumes later, they finally made it. Now, the thing is, though, with where we are in the story right now with page 1 and with Ulti and Yamato, I want to see this continue into Old Wano country. I feel like if we get through all this and we don't end up in Old Wano with Pluton, it's like, what the heck were we doing with this? So either way, this is nice to see this. I like that the pilgrimage is finally complete. Very nice. All right, let us continue the chapter. One Piece 1150, the very first page. We're looking, it says, the children, thank goodness they're safe. Mr. from the bar, my dad fell into the underworld. Huh? Mr. Ya did what? It was that lady. Watch out for her. Poor little Colin is still crying over Gabon's sacrifice last chapter. They're screaming, Daddy, Mommy. She's floating. Poor kids, you must have been so scared. Come on. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh. Conqueror's hockey scream, silence. And you can see the guy from the bar is shivering in his boots. Everyone's screaming, falling backwards, blood falling over the place. Interesting that the giant kid seems unaffected on the top thing, though, saying, what is that? And Gunko's looking over. Oh, no, that was before the silence. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I read that out of order. I saw the two. So the kid is saying, what is that? She darted to take the guy from the bar out. So that wasn't even from the Conqueror's hockey blast. That was just a little glance of the eyes of Gunko Emu over here. Silence. Okay. And you got these other dudes bubbling over with their rabies foam in their mouth. You got all these kids getting knocked out as well, slumping over, Colin included. Great shot there of Elbaf with the lightning shocks coming all over the place. All right, let's see. Whoa. Hey, snap out of it. Snap out of it. And you can see more of the giants still standing. One of them's getting knocked over. Jarl is still standing, though. Interesting. And you're... What is... What? Oh, man! Oh! Oh, man, there's a lot going on here. Oh, I might need Pillow Sama for this one. Wait a minute. Oh, we are in for a good chapter, folks. What am I looking at here? We've got Gunko Emu with an abyss circle with the, as you see the doom-doom sound effects. Oh, man. All resistance must be squashed. Is this the best thy sleep dids can do, Killingham? Full force into emu form now. Oh my, I have so many thoughts on this. With the devil wings and the devil tail, we just talked about this last week. With the arrow power and people saying, oh, the arrow power confirms that actually Gunko was the one that killed Sabo. And we were like, no, you gotta wait because it's probably emu with the devil fruit, with the devil tail like Cuphead. Bro, it's here. We're seeing the devil tail on Gunko Emu. Oh man, okay. Okay. Not so great one. The nightmare holes remain open. Oh, excuse me. I thought he was calling her not so great one because it's like not fully emu. It's like Gonko emu. No. Is this the best thy sleeptids can do, Killingham? And Killingham says, not so, Great One. The nightmare holes remain open. They continue to spawn monsters from every nightmare found on the island. These are creatures from dreams with no concept of death that can be revived at any time on my command. So much like all the other characters we've been seeing within the God Knights and all the people that Emu's working with, the Gorosei and everything, these guys can actually be revived as well. So they're all dealing with the resurrection powers too. All right, here we go. Let us continue. Oh my goodness gracious, though. That panel, I have things to discuss with that panel. Goodness. Whip it out, Pillow-sama, this early too. Okay. Lead the line of whelps, Summers. Right away as you command. He's still alive. Well, again, we kind of knew he was already alive after the last chapter, but still. It is still kind of crazy that he's alive with his head stuck within the thorns. Is that the same woman up in the air? She seems different from before. She sure is. Where's Luffy's group now? And you can see Robin is still wrapped in the thorns as well. Well, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji aren't here, and Harudin's bunch as well. It's just our luck that they'd all be down in the underworld, far below. And you can see Brooke and Nami down there. Okay. What are you doing, Robin? And she's trying to move her way out of the thorns. I have to help. I can't just sit here captured and do nothing. That is my girl. Robin has been holding it down this arc. She has been giving us some of the best moments. The stuff with Saul, the stuff with Summers a couple chapters ago. Now this. She's like, I've been sitting on the sidelines too long. Give me something to do. I love this. All right. Summers is going in. The question now is with whom we will parlay using these whelps as bait. And you could see his hand cracking all over the place. Absolutely right, oh Great One. I mean, it makes no sense. A kingdom without a king? Stupid Gaban. My body's in agony. Dory, the blue ogre, and Brogy, the red ogre. I charge thee with dominance over this land. Huh? Thou wilt be kings. What? Are you with the Holy Knights? You're the one who's driven Elbaf to madness. What is happening here, bro? What is this? I love that shot. Bro, you never really realize how yoked these giants are until you get that thing on the bottom where he's literally grabbing Gonko Emu and you got this massive arm sticking on the top. Bro. Go ahead, Dory. Join him, boys. Sure thing, Captain. Take care of yourself, Brogy. Now give me back the children. Just how many are you? Great shot there, too, of Gonko Emu in his hands with the one wing. Sephiroth! With the abyss binder there. All right. Understand this, Brogy. Thou wilt meet with Beard Hill Jarl, cut off his head, and hold it aloft. Then announce to thy people that we are the kings of Elbaf. What kind of weird devil book is this? What is happening here? And you can see the abyss coming out of it with the flume, saying, never. This is our country. You can't tell us what to do. What? There's like, okay, a flintlock flying through the air, knives. But it will not be for nothing. She can just summon weapons out like that. Bro, what is happening? Blowing off the poor guy's hand. I give thee the power of evil. What? What is happening? They weren't even in the last chapter. They weren't even close to us. Now Dory and Brogy are getting taken down by Emu. What is this? What is this? I give thee the power of evil. The captain's arm. What in the world? What happened, Captain? I don't believe it. She took off his mighty arm. The one I was literally just talking about, how bulky it was looking. She'll pay dearly for this. In exchange for some measure of thy lifespan, thou wilt receive an undying body and uncanny strength. Under fealty to Mu, thou art unbound by common sense and logic, for demons are the only proper form for life to take. What? So it's like a deal with the devil kind of thing? Diabolical covenant. My poor dude, oh my gosh, standing there in the circle, one hand gone. Did she say demons? What is she doing to him? The man is sinking down the hill. What is happening? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not ready for this. She's sinking him down to hell within this abyss circle, devil tail intact, wings in the sky, Domi Reversi, making gang signs and throwing him. Bro, did she bisect him? What? This is ridiculous, man. What am I looking at? And they're all, we waited this long for this? Captain, wait, stop. Stop, and you can see him sinking still. His body, okay. Wait, I gotta read the chapter first before I give my thoughts. I have to realize the review comes after. I gotta get through the chapter first, but I'm having thoughts. This right here, I think was actually set up in the beginning of Elbaf. We're gonna talk about it in a little bit. Stick around. The review portion's coming a little later. I'm still reading the chapter, but this is fire. This is actually very, 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 very good. This goes to show there was a plan. That's good. Very good. Demon, oh my gosh, bro. Climbing out of the ground with his teeth and everything too. And they're going, huh? Bro. Go ahead. Oh, I went backwards a page. Hold on. Huh? He turned into a demon. Look at him with the cape and the horns. He's huge. What happened to Captain Brocky, bro? He turned into a demon. He looks terrifying. Is he actually a real demon now? Come on, give me back the captain we know. The real Captain Brogy has never tried to attack his own crew once, and you have the fire coming out of his eyes, the fangs and everything. He's got a warrior's pride, and he's like, I'm not even letting you finish that sentence. Wham! Smacking him away, sending all three flying. And he's taken in by the power. This is crazy. I feel all powerful. Nothing can stop me now. This is so cool too. Oh man. She got Captain Dory too, and you can see, oh. Yeah. Come along, boys. It's time to kill Jarl. Dory and Bragi as demons was not on my bingo card when this arc started. But like I said, there were clues to this, to eventually having to fight them. What about saving the kids? Come on, you have to wake up, Captain Dory. If you actually do this, our country is doomed. Help us stop them. They look like beasts in this form, with the wings flying everywhere. Captains? Huh? No. Not you guys too, and you could see them erupting out of the ground. Chernobog style with the wings and the horns with the tridents. And you're seeing swoop, thump, thump, everyone flying into the ground. Was it because they were standing in between the two of them? It can't be. It can't be. Just keep your distance. This is crazy. What? Oh my gosh. Look at this shot. Not bad. So this is the power of Elbaf. And you've got three of their little subordinate giants running as Dory and Bragi, going for the head of King Jarl, are walking through the forest with demon wings and demon fangs and tridents, surrounded by the revived nightmare cryptids behind him and their other soldiers that were caught on the in-between as their own subordinates. What in the world? It will not be destroyed, but preserved and ruled over. So Emu's like, don't worry, we're not getting rid of Elbaf. We're not looking to wipe Elbaf off the face of the earth. Elbaf's too strong. These men are too powerful. We're holding them down. Even Summers is looking concerned by all this. Summers and Killingham looking on over. Perhaps it is time to stay and watch to see how useful they will be in war. Please, Chief Jarl, please, you must flee. Something is wrong with Captains Dory and Bragi. Run for your life. But Jarl is standing. Okay, Jarl is still standing, saying never tell a warrior to run from battle. Sword still sticking in his head. Bro, and that's the end of the chapter. Oh, man. Okay. First off, this is one of the best, review time. This is one of the best chapters in Elbaf. I know I just recently said this. I'm saying it here too. This is one of the best chapters. I'm also hearing from people in chat that there's no break next week either. Fantastic. You love to see it. Fantastic. Cannot wait to react to this next week. It's going to be a crazy next week with Switch 2 coming out and everything like that. I will have officiated a wedding by the time the next chapter comes out. Okay. First thing I want to mention in my review that I was going to bring up earlier, but I wanted to get through the portion of her making that demon pact with Dorian Broggy. This was actually telegraphed. This was something that was directly telegraphed in the beginning of this story arc, right? Where you had that party at the end of Egghead going into Elbaf, where Luffy said, even if we have to fight each other in the future, just know that we're always friends. Remember where they had that big party on the boat? And people were like, that doesn't make sense. Dorian Broggy have been friends with Luffy forever. And even though Elbaf is this land of war, why would they say that? Why would they put that word, why would they put that line specifically in that moment before they fell asleep? Exactly. Why would they say, specifically, even if we end up becoming enemies, like, don't sweat it, we're still going to be friends? Clearly, it was to set up the idea that Dorian Broggy were going to heel turn. But again, I never thought that would have made narrative sense with where we are in the story. The fact now that Emu is here, turning them into demons to take the head of Jarl, who's in command of Elbaf, and then them sort of being overwhelmed by the power. Because again, this plays on the idea of like people who make deals with the devil, right? Like people who, you know, there's rumors of musicians throughout history or scholars throughout history or whatever that have made deals with the devil to boost their intelligence or to give them a newfound talent. Like the giants within Elbaf have always had their strength and their pride, always. So of course their downfall would be their desire to be stronger and their pride of being warriors. And her taking advantage of that when making this devil pact. Now, obviously, in the Iridium, when you're seeing the stuff with Broggy, he didn't want to do this, right? He didn't want to become a devil. But I think the power over him, the seduction of the power and the pride was simply too much. Where I think if a different character was taken in by this pact, it probably wouldn't work. Like, my assumption, big brain read for a potential end of series, right? Because of Luffy's dream and Roger's dream. And my assumption that their dreams are for everyone to be free or for everyone to be pirates or whatever, right? To be king of the pirates. With that being his dream and his desire for everyone else to be free and it not really being a dream of his own, right? For his own power, other than like his title of being Pirate King, I almost feel like this pact thing will not end up working on Luffy. I feel like that's going to be a shocking moment for whenever Emu makes that confrontation of like, it's not able to work on him. Luffy is too good. It's not going to be able to work. And I actually think this could potentially be shown to us even earlier, maybe with something with Loki. Because the stuff that's happening with Loki right now, we still don't fully know Loki's true intentions. We know that he believes he is a sun god. We know that he has a devil fruit power that was some sort of sun god devil fruit power that was passed down, right, throughout the generations. We know that. But beyond that, we know that like all the stuff that we have heard about Loki isn't necessarily true. We know there's a lot of things that are missing with the death of King Harold, with the attack on Loki, with Jarl with the sword stuck in his head, with the amnesia. So I'm almost wondering if like we're going to see the negation of this Devil Abyss pact power, devil deal with the devil type power of emus, right? If we're going to see this stopped before we even gets to Luffy, if we end up seeing it with Loki. Because again, Loki's not here, Harden's not here, the Monster Trio's not here. I think it is very, very intentional that Oda specifically left those characters out. Specifically, he did not include any of those three. Or Loki or Haruden. And I think that's because they're eventually going to come face to face with these. Now, obviously, Gaban, as we know at the end of last chapter, and Chopper to some extent, right? Because Chopper was chasing after Gaban. We know Gaban and Chopper are most likely going to end up in the underworld, which then gives us the monster trio, Loki, Haruden, the other new giant pirates, right? Like all the other people that were with Haruden's crew, plus Chopper to heal them, and Gaban. And Gaban maybe somehow telling them the secret of how to stop these things. Because again, Gaban was clearly able to do it with Summers. He was able to stop this regeneration. And they specifically brought up in this chapter, right, with Killingham, he specifically brought up that these nightmare cryptids can revive as many times as he wants to revive them. Now, obviously, it's going to take somebody like Gaban to actually finally stop them. And I think it's interesting that Emu Gunko over here said at the end of the chapter that Elbaf's not going to be destroyed, and it's time for us to sit back and watch. Because she says, I want to see how useful they're going to be in war. This perfectly sets up Final War to me. This perfectly sets it up, because if this is the cue of the Celestial Dragon God Knight characters to take a back seat and to sort of either leave Elbaf or just watch from afar and let this all play out where Luffy and, Loki and Haruden end up taking out these guys, maybe knocking them back to normal, somehow breaking their pact with the devil. Maybe it has something to do with the drums of liberation and the idea of freedom that Nika is able to instill within people. Maybe is going to be strong enough to beat the pact with the devil if they're friends with each other. I'm not really sure how it's all going to connect, but obviously it's going to connect. And if the villains, quote unquote, right? Obviously the villains of Elbaf are these God Knight characters. But if the villains of Elbaf, this land of war that we've been hyped up for so long, actually end up being the giants that we first met in the story all those years ago, that's actually peak. That's actually a really, really good way to do this. Because again, Dory and Broggy of their own will would have never fought against Luffy. They would not, unless it was for a game. They wouldn't have fought against Luffy. But the fact that they're being possessed in this devil pact thing right now, I think is the best way to handle this. And to not only show off their power, because again, these guys have been hyped up with billion-berry bounties after the end of Egghead Island, right? This has been hyped up for a very, 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 very long time. So we had to see some type of confrontation. But the fact that we're seeing it in this way, I think is absolutely stellar. And again, they did not miss a moment in this chapter. The action sequences right when he turns into a demon and he smacks them all back, talking about the warrior's pride thing, seeing the other demons that were caught on the in-between, absolutely insane. The visuals in this chapter I think are really good. Even the idea of this Abyss book, right? That Gunko has this Abyss, or Emu Gunko, whatever you want to call her, has this Abyss book in her hand. I'm almost wondering if that is where the power is coming from. Because again, this whole thing with devils and demons and the ties to the Abyss, this all could potentially tie to the greater lore of devil fruits as well. Because we are currently in Elbaf, where there is an Adam tree, with the assumption being there is also an Eve tree, with the assumption also being that devil fruits may derive from that Eve tree. This is all tying in for the greater overall lore. And we still have not yet picked up on what happened last time with all the stuff with Mural Piece. We still haven't gotten any of that information. I'm almost wondering if Robin getting out of here and freeing herself is going to make her way back over to the library, knowing she can't really do anything against Dory and Broggy, but knowing the thing that's important to her is to not have an Ohara 2.0 situation. We also know the owl is there, right? And the owl has the power to shrink things. We talked about this during my reaction review last week, that potentially the owl shrunk all the books, right? That maybe there was a possibility that Biblio shrunk the books and flew off with them, and that Robin is maybe going to meet up with Biblio, and we're going to have some type of moment there where the two of them, get together and make this new library away from the prying eyes of the evil characters, and keeping all the books and stuff safe in between this obviously massive war that's about to happen between the demon-possessed giants and Luffy's group, Haruden and Loki. There are so many cool possibilities here. Again, the thing I brought up in my reaction with the Devil Tail confirmation, right? That thing where we saw, in silhouette, mind you, but we saw that Devil Tail spike all the way through Cobra when we saw Cobra's death. That confirmation that there is indeed something devilish at play. And I think, for myself personally, this chapter outright confirms to me Emu is the devil. That is what this is. That the Emu is straight up the devil fruit user. That we have been waiting for so long to find out if there was actually a devil fruit And I do think that is what Emo is, because Emu's powers are ridiculous. The fact that you're basically on the same level as an evil god, you're able to summon weapons out of anywhere. You've got like shotguns into flintlocks, into knives, into swords, into these magical mage books like Robin from Smash Brothers. Like crazy stuff happening here. Meanwhile, creating the abyss circles, making packs for people's lifespan to make them older. Like, my other concern here is what's this going to mean for Broggy? Because Emu says directly in this chapter, in exchange for some measure of thy lifespan, thou wilt receive an undying body and uncanny strength. Under fealty to Mu, thou art unbound by common sense and logic, for demons are the only proper form for life to take. Kind of creepy stuff. Also, Hollow Avarice is coming through with a super chat saying, Domi Reversi means I return home. Who is returning? The demons back to Earth? Emu bring evil back? My assumption is the demons, right? Rising the demons out of hell is how I took it. I mean, you literally see Broggy sinking into a sinkhole into hell, popping out as a demon. I also think that Mike Moore is correct with what he just super chatted, saying, I have a gut feeling that Kuma's Bible might also be some type of counter to Emu, even if it's just information to help. That Bible and Kuma's flashback obviously being so tied and integral to Nika is certainly interesting. It is certainly interesting. I would not throw away the possibility that with Kuma being here and Bonnie being here and Lilith being here, if that may be the reveals of the mural, Kuma's Bible, all the other characters that are present might also come into play and give us some overall thoughts and overall ideas on how to beat Emu. But again, I take Emu / Gunko at her word at the end of this chapter. I do think they're going to stay on the sidelines for the time being. I'm not fully expecting, at least during this story arc, a full-on confrontation with Emu. I truly believe Emu is final war. And I have been saying this and screaming this from the rooftops for years now, and people did not want to listen to me. I said that at the end of Elbaf, we are finally going to enter the final war of the story. This is the last major story arc of One Piece. People are like, no, it's going to go on for another 10 years. No, it's not, bro. We're in the final saga. We already had Egghead, Elbaf, Ragnarok, leading everything until the end. The mural, like the overall thoughts on the rest of the story, we're not. We are here. We are in the final saga now. This is going to lead directly into it. And I also think Emu's power being introduced here is extremely smart, because if you introduce the full force of Emu's power during Final War, you run into a potential Kaguya situation. For those of you that have read or watched Naruto, where a lot of people thought that Kaguya kind of came out of nowhere, right? That Kaguya shows up at the ending and people were like, who is this other character? Why is she being introduced here? Madara was the one we were talking with, right? I feel like setting up the powers here so that we go into Final War knowing what Emu's power set is actually brilliant. I think that is an extremely smart thing, because then we could focus on all the stuff with the revolutionaries. We could focus on the rest of the stuff with the other god knights. We could focus on the fallout from this, because again, my assumption is if Niku can, Niku, what am I saying? Niku means meat. Nika, if Nika can somehow counter with the drums of liberation, if Nika can somehow counter this Domi Reversi and turning these demons back to normal, my wonder is that if we roll up at Marijoa after the events of Elbaf with all the giants in tow, right, with Loki, with Harudin, with the newly reformed Dory and Bragi, with maybe Kuma brought back to life fully, right, like conscious reinstated, all the Straw Hats, we got a major group set up right there. You have all of them coming out over to Final War, plus the Revolutionary Army, plus all of our other allies that then get summoned from that. Because you got to remember, at the beginning of the story arc, you got the stuff with the newspaper and Vivi with the X. That is a sign. That is absolutely a sign. There is something that is going to tie us all the way back to Marijoa at the end. I do think this whole demon pact thing is going to be the thing to do it. This was an incredible chapter of One Piece. I genuinely believe this is one of the best of Elbaf. And I truly believe, like, looking at all the stuff that is being set up here, the greater overall lore with Emu, the way that he's actually managing to make Dory and Bragi opponents in a way that doesn't feel cheap or stupid. Like, I think there's absolutely a world There's absolutely a world, this is Oda we're talking about, in which Dory and Broggy could have fallen off the branch and landed in the underworld and knocked their heads and got amnesia. That is absolutely something that could have happened in this story. And you guys know me, Pillow-sama would have been flying into the wall if that ended up being the case. The fact that it's not that, and he ties it into something that's actually interesting and different and cool, and still, again, plays on the idea of the pride of being a warrior and pride being one of the, 7 deadly sins, and that potentially being the downfall of the giants with an actual devil here. It's brilliant. It is absolutely positively brilliant. Again, I think this is one of the best chapters of the entire Elbaf story arc. And I think, admittedly, when we look back at this chapter near the end of the story, I think there's going to be a lot of other stuff here that's going to be teased to us that we're maybe not even necessarily picking up on right now. But all that final shot with like the nightmare cryptids and Demon Dory and Broggy, like they did not spend any downtime whatsoever in this chapter. We got right through to the action. And even the cover story was good, with Yamato finally finishing the pilgrimage. Like, this was all good stuff, beginning to end. I need more chapters like this. Please, Oda. More like this. And thankfully, we don't have to wait long. The next chapter of One Piece drops this upcoming Sunday. So you know I will be here to live react to it and give my review. But overall thoughts on this one, perfect chapter. I have nothing bad to say about this one. And that is a shock. As somebody who's been reading One Piece and as cynical as I am, who's been reading this for as long as I've been reading it, who finds fault in pretty much everything, I feel like getting a perfect chapter like this where I just feel overwhelmed with hype and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next, that's saying something. Well done, Oda. Well done. Man. Wow. All right. Let's get to some of these super chats. Let's get to some of these donations. Let's react to the anime episode. I also am dying to see what James is going to do. I am dying to see what James is going to do for this chapter. Actually, you know what? Let's start with that. Let's pull up what James's thumbnail was. Because if he did Demon Dory and Broggy, that would probably be wild. Let's see this. Also, don't worry. I'm getting all your messages in a little bit. Don't you worry about a thing. Thank you so much to all the people super chatting. Thank you to all the viewers in here right now. Thank you. Wow. Okay. Here we go. James thumbnail art. Let's see. Bro. Oh, man. Take a look at this. Wow. Terrifying looking demon-esque Dory and Broggy. Teeth sticking out, eyes bloodshot. Oh my goodness, this is great. I also love the fire in the background as well. I love the colorization where it's almost like a rainbow fire. The way that the blue and the purple bleeds into the other colors. Oh, dude. I mean, I never thought that Dory and Broggy could look more terrifying. But the fact that he actually managed to do it. I love all the detail in the hair and the teeth. Oh, really solid color work here. The cape even flying backwards where you can tell where it looks like wings. Oh, man. James cooked. James absolutely cooked with this one. Wow. I love this. I love this. With the shading in their eyes and everything too. The glow coming off of them. Dude, I mean, this is peak. What else can I say about this? This is phenomenal. This is absolutely phenomenal with the cape and the horns and everything. Does Dory's thing always have that where he's got like the Moloch spikes sticking off of the back? Dude, gorgeous. James, absolutely positively gorgeous. I also never realized how weird his beard is. Look how weird Dory's beard is. Where it goes down like this and he's got this little bit of a hole underneath his lips. Very strange. I never noticed that before. I guess it took him being a demon for me to notice. But dude, the stuff with Broggy as well. Again, the colorization in this one, the glow. I mean, he nailed it. He absolutely, positively nailed it. Wow. They are wings, Roger. I know, but what I'm saying is that you could see it sticking out where it looks like it's made of his cape. That's what I'm saying. I love it. I love it. I also think the whole one wing thing is kind of interesting too. Where you see, I didn't bring this up in the earlier chapter reaction thing, but like when you see Sabo fighting Emu, right? It was just basically like this giant blur that was attacking and then we saw the demon tail. Here we're seeing like this one-winged form. I'm wondering if that's because Imu is taking control of Gunko and it's not full Imu. And it's going to be until we actually wait to see full Imu, like not in Gunko form, not with Gunko being possessed, with the actual true form of Imu as the full demon. Like, I cannot wait to see what that's going to look like. Also, the glowing eyes remind me of Big Mom when she buffed herself on Wano using her lifespan. Well, again, the big thing that was brought up here in this chapter is that this double pact somehow has something to do with giving up your lifespan to get stronger. So, we will see. Man, oh man, oh man. Also, could the Oni race be descendants of an actual devil race? Ooh, that's interesting. That maybe like the demon horns that were granted to them after they turned into their demon form, it maybe has something to do with like the Ors race and the ancient giants and how some of the giants in the times of war had horns and there being some kind of relationship there. I didn't even consider that, but that's a really great idea. Man. Doron also said James is super smart, focusing on the faces. Exactly. Because he knows that if he draws anything else, he doesn't know what the color scheme is going to be like. But he knows what Dory and Broggy look like. So he's like, he doesn't have to redraw it or do anything different a little bit later on. He can just keep the faces the same way. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful work, James. Beautiful work. Well, I want to get into some of these super chats. I want to get into some of these theories. There's a lot of stuff that you guys were saying. I know I got my Discord over here. I'm actually going to... There's a lot of stuff in my Discord. Good Lord. All right, maybe I'll wait for the Discord stuff. I'll wait for the Discord stuff next. Hold on. There's a lot of stuff happening there. There's a lot of stuff happening here. I will get to that in a second. We're going to start with the Super Chats. Here we go. We're going to start with the Super Chats here. Also, I see Sylvan in the chat saying, how did Sabo make it out of the chamber with Emu? That is a very good question. If this is what he was up against, I have no idea. I truly do not know. All right, let's see. This first one comes from Tevsauce, who says, it's a lock to me that King Harold actually had this happen to him to do Emu's bidding, and Loki stopped him. That, I think, is also a very high likely take, that somehow Harold was overwhelmed by Emu's power, and Loki maybe was ordered to kill Loki or something, and Loki had to stop him. And that Jarl knows the truth, but then Jarl got the sword stuck in his head so he doesn't remember anything. I like that idea. I also think that's probably something that a lot of people are going to be throwing around, because you do have to have some type of tie to Loki with the overall story, right? You have to have him tied into this in some way. I think that's a good way to tie him in. That's a good one. Hollow Avarice came through and said, with the clear focus on Robin we've been seeing, could we see her Demonio floor clashing with actual demons? And who would she go up against if so? Ooh, I love that idea. Could we see her Demonio thing going up against actual demons? I mean, I think she's going to go up against whoever is going to go after Saul, right? Saul is currently on the ground and, not really much of a threat. But I feel like if one of these demon versions of the giants ends up going after Saul, I do see a world in which she clashes with them. I do love the idea that the Demonio thing in some way clashes with the actual demons, but I also want to take this opportunity to bring up something that people were talking about on one of my reviews a couple weeks ago, where I said when, there was that assumption that, Robin was maybe utilizing armament hockey and, that's going to be some big hype thing, and I mentioned that I wouldn't be super hype about it and that I assumed she had already had it with the stuff with Demonio. Again, I did not remember that the anime, thank you again, man, for all these donations. I will get to these in a second. Thank you very, very much. We got him activating the Mammoth Boys for Life one. Thank you very, very much. One thing that I wanted to bring up earlier, right, is that in my review a couple weeks ago, right, is that I wasn't supremely hyped about the idea that Robin was going to get hockey, because to me it was kind of a no-brainer that she would be able to use armament, right? To me, like, it's not that hype of a reveal to be like, oh, look at this, Robin's using it, because my assumption when I first read that chapter where she uses the Demonio form was that she was using hockey. So then when it got confirmed a year later that she wasn't actually in the anime, that kind of took the wind out of my sails for me. And now I'm at a point, like, when she does have it, I'm like, good, it's about damn time. She should have it, So I know there were people who were confused why I wasn't hyped about that. But realistically, I just wasn't hyped because I assumed she had already had it, and then getting that taken back from me was just kind of like a little bit of a bummer. With that being said, I think an armament hockey infused version of her Demonio thing going up against these demons, especially if she somehow managed to learn whatever Gaban is going to teach Luffy and Zoro and Sanji about attacking these guys that regenerate, I think that could be pretty cool. Also, Jinbei saying, warning her about the thorns to me is a setup for her to get it. Totally. I could see that happening as well. through sheer willpower, she's able to like harden and then break through them. I could see that happening. Yeah, definitely. I had to take a sip of water because I just saw an absolutely devilish, no pun intended, thing in my live chat from Hendrix saying perhaps she has to fight a devil version of Saul. If Devil Robin, though this goes in line with what I was saying during my review portion, if Devil Robin somehow, some way manages to break through, if Saul turns into a devil, if she manages to break through her love of Saul, like freeing him through love, and love being one of those things that like transcends the power, that would be kind of cool. Because we still don't fully know what's going on with Kuma. How Kuma was able to survive and live through everything that he was living through. And we know it has something to do, obviously, with his love for Bonnie and his desire to see his daughter again and to see her live in a world freed by Nika. So maybe that's something else that's going to tie into that greater overall theme of like the drums of liberation and love being the thing to break people out of this devil spell. I love that. No pun intended. That's a great thing to bring up. Thank you for bringing that up. And the Saul thing, like I said, is absolutely criminal. The idea of bringing up Saul is just brutal, man. Absolutely brutal. Let me see this next one. Austin Smith super chatted and said, what if Emu using magic is simply Oda recycling Spiel from Romance Dawn version 2? I'm going to be real, I have no idea what that is. What is Spiel? From Romance Dawn version 2. Spiel. Let me look this up. Spiel the Hexagon? Captain of the ship? I don't know any of this. He uses magic in that original version. Oh! Well, again, to me, magic being in the world of One Piece is not really that strange to me. Like, that's not a weird thing. With everything else that's happened in this story, like, I always just kind of assumed Devil Fruits in some way would have to incorporate magic, right? So to me, that's not like, I'm not thrown off by the idea that he's potentially integrating this into the story right now, or like maybe if people think this is a little weird to enter in late game, I don't really feel the same way. I feel like this is good, you know? I feel like the way he's introducing this now, just like I mentioned in my review portion, I think now is the right time to do it. Also, definitely give it a read when you get a chance at some point. Basically, Spiel uses magic in version 2. Devil Fruits are essentially magic, but he's really more like a wizard. Who would have thought that Devil Fruits and magic would have gone together in this way? It's a bit of a reach that Miss Golden Week uses magic as well. Man, I don't hate the magic connection there, but I do think it's funny, the idea that your brain went to Spiel. Again, I did not remember him whatsoever. This wizard dude, I don't even think I've ever actually read Romance Dawn version 2, which is maybe wild to say as a One Piece creator, but I don't think I've ever actually read it. Has it been officially revealed in English before? Is it in like any of the official English volumes, or is it in any of the compilation books? If it's only been in Japanese, then I probably haven't read it. Elder Vault super chatted and said, show me a future where Elbaf is free. Could potentially reverse Emu's control over the giants. Oh, Bonnie may be being thrown into this. I like that. Also, the unbound by common sense and logic is sort of the same thing as Nika's powers as well. Again, with his ridiculous powers overwhelming everybody. Them saying that Nika has the most ridiculous power in the series, which is crazy when you think about the fact that they know that Emu exists with this devil power. This is crazy stuff. I love the idea, yeah, show me a future where Elbaf is free is good, though. I like that a lot. Also, Roger, you've definitely read it. You must have just forgotten it's in your Wanted book. Oh, and I did do a read-through of Wanted live on stream. I literally have it right over there. I guess I did read it. Maybe I just didn't remember the stuff with Spiel. To be fair, there are a lot of characters in One Piece, and it is non-canon. So that's probably why it just like went in one ear and out the other. I actually think you're right. I think I did read it. Now that you're saying that, Clax, I think I did read it. But again, I just don't remember. Yeah, I love the idea of potentially bringing Bonnie into this too. And having a future where the giants are free and them breaking free of their demon power that way. I love that. Mike Moore came through saying, so many thoughts. Here's some donation spam for you. Is there a world where Luffy's awakening can make others into giants? potentially Zoro and etc. to help fight. I don't think there's a world in which Luffy's awakening can do that. But I think there's a world with what we saw in Elbaf in which Luffy's awakening combined with Bonnie's weird alternate future powers can somehow create a world in which they get temporarily turned into giants. I think it would be great at some point to see like a giant Usopp, right? For Usopp, considering the fact that he's wanted to be in Elbaf for so long, he's wanted to see these giant warriors. I really do like the idea of Usopp potentially, turning into a giant through that weird alternate future thing with Bonnie tied with Gear 5 Luffy powers. More so even than I would like to see Zoro or Sanji turn into giants. I would really, really love to see Usopp turn into giants. Now, again, you guys bring up a good point in the chat of the idea that, like, Gear 5 Awakening would make people stretchy and, like, rubbery and Looney Tunes. So, technically, you could probably stretch their proportions and make everybody huge. Like, I could also see that happening as well. But I feel like, thematically, turning Usopp into one would make the most sense to me. Above someone else like Zoro. Yeah. Now, I read the one from Hollow Avarice earlier during my review about the I Return Home thing and how I thought that relates to other demons. But Mike Moore came through with another donation saying, I have a gut feeling that Kuma's Bible is somehow a counter to Emu, even if it's just information to help. I brought that up earlier as well. Talked about that a little bit during the review. Stand by what I said earlier. I do think that the Bible could somehow play into this, considering all the religious undertones and overtones of Elbaf. So I agree with that as well. Lee B super chatted and said, I think it would be cool if the people of the Will of D are immune to Emu's power. They are people who cannot be controlled. That would also be really cool and a great way to tie in lore of the Will of D, because we got that little teaser. That little nugget from Oda, whenever that was, like 30, 40 chapters ago, and nothing ever came of it. I do love the idea that we get further confirmation that they're the ones unaffected by it. I really do like that a lot. Abhi super chatted and said, what if Luffy's power could actually reverse Emu's power? Bringing up what I was saying earlier. Since Luffy is a god and Emu is a devil, do you think Gaban's haki is maybe effective on the demon giants? Again, I feel like it has to be, right? I mean, Gaban being, I think, maybe not necessarily that it's effective on the demon power, but I think that it's in some way effective against the regenerative power that Emu grants, right? You know who I would recommend? I recommend, if you guys have not watched Morge's video on the topic, Mr. Morge did a video talking about what his idea is for Gaban's, like, new haki upgrade that we're going to see, right? And Morge's idea in that video is that the upgrade, the thing that Gaban is going to teach them, is how to permanently infuse haki into your attacks. That it's basically like an infusion power, which would explain a lot of things that are in the story right now that we've not got further confirmations on, like how black blades are created, right? The assumption is that super strong haki infused into a blade creates a black blade, but we don't have direct confirmation of that quite yet. We know that Gaban was able to slice Summer's arm and Summers wasn't able to regenerate, but was there a way in which Summers, like, got haki infused into his wound, which is why he wasn't able to grow? I will tell you guys this. I've talked about this on numerous occasions on my own live streams. I do not really watch theory videos anymore. I am not really a big fan of theory videos. I like theorizing with you guys during super chats on the streams and stuff, but for the most part, this is the only time during the week in which I ever theorize on upcoming chapters. I kind of like going in blind now that we're going into the final saga, but I really do think the way that Morge explained everything in that video is, it gets my highest recommendation. If you're looking for like a really good One Piece theory video, I know I could sit here, I could do a reaction to it and talk about it, but I feel like that's kind of cheap. I think it's better for you guys to just go watch his content instead of watching me react to it and talk over it and me get the views and him not get the views. So go check out Morge's video. Again, it's very, very good. Also, yes, I did react to the live action trailer of Chopper from yesterday. That is available on my YouTube channel right now. You can go check it out. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let us continue. We've got so many more super chats, so many other things. Here we go. We have another donation. This one comes from Lucky98. saying, remember Oda's Jump Festa message. The arrival of a certain man will break the calm of Elbaf. Was he maybe talking about Emu the whole time and not who we assumed, Shamrock? That's the beauty of Oda's Jump Festa things, right? He could just say stuff. He could say whatever he wants, right? And then we can interpret it years later. He said, oh, there's going to be a lurking legend. And then the same year we got Rocks and Emu. And people to this day are still debating who the lurking legend was. It's like, bro, it doesn't matter at this point. He was covering all his bases. I kind of feel the same way. Whether it was talking about Shamrock, whether it was talking about Emu, whether it was talking about somebody else, right? Maybe he was talking about Loki. Who knows? Maybe he's talking about something else entirely. A different character we haven't seen right now. But yeah, I do think that we are getting into some pretty hype stuff right now. And that Oda's Jump Festa is going to come into play sooner rather than later, potentially with this stuff with Emu. So there you go. Zindrome also said maybe Oda got inspired for the demons from the John Cena heel turn. What? I mean, we do know Oda loves wrestling. I don't know if Oda watches John Cena. I know I'm also not a big wrestling fan, but I know that John Cena for a long time was like a hero wrestler and then recently turned heel and then won WrestleMania or something. So yeah, maybe he was inspired. Maybe he wanted to show that even the strongest, most prideful, cool warriors in the series can fall to the wiles of demon powers. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Rob also said this is like an Order 66 type situation. Well, to be fair, the Order 66 stuff kind of played into the stuff with Kuma and with all the stuff that we saw in Egghead Island, right? Kind of all came into play there. So we saw that happening with the Authority chips and then having like the reversal in the Order 66 stuff and then somebody else being up higher on the Authority. So there you go. Let me see this. We got another one. Wow, we got a lot of these. This next one, Mike Moore is just sending a bunch of these donations saying, I have always thought that Emu is the final story villain. However, I felt the same way about Game of Thrones. If you know, you know. Human enemies first, and now I'm 50-50 on if the race for One Piece is before or after Emu. Again, I feel like because we're seeing the power now, and because Blackbeard is still being set up as one of the ones going towards the One Piece, obviously was the first major villain overall that got set up within the story during Jaya for Luffy. I almost see a world in which we defeat Emu during Final War, and Blackbeard eats Emu's power, and then becomes the ultimate version, essentially, of the devil. With all of Emu's powers, the Abyss tied with the Darkness power. Maybe that's why he wanted to go after the Darkness power in the first place. Maybe this was Blackbeard's plan all along. That he knew that somehow the Darkness power adds to the power of the devil that Emu has. In addition to the power of earthquakes, just makes him completely unstoppable. You know what I mean? So to me, I do feel like Emu gets taken out at Marijoa, leads the remaining characters to go to Laugh Tale to search out the One Piece, and then Blackbeard arrives, and we have that final fight with, like, super-powered Emu power Blackbeard having absorbed all of this versus full Super Saiyan God, whatever, Gear 5 Luffy, which I think would be kind of cool. Yeah, I think it'd be very cool. But I still am very much standing by that I think Laugh Tale is after Marijoa, and that Blackbeard swoops in and takes the power at the end of Final War. Yeah, that basically we go Elbaf, Final War, Laugh Tale. And that some of the other stuff, Lodestar, Emerald City, those aren't necessarily full arcs, but those are things that we're going to see tied with other characters making their way over here. I also still think, with all the stuff with demons, and all the stuff with Bibles, and all the overtones of religion, I go back to what I said a year and a half ago, where I said I still think Uruj and Eneru have a chance to come into the story here, with both of their stories being so closely tied to religion, and that obviously being so important to Elbaf. I still think we're looking at the potential of like Eneru and Uruj showing up before the story arcs end. I really do. And somehow, some way, maybe them finding a way to counter the demons as well. But I do think there are other people that are still showing up. And that could maybe tie into what Oda was saying at Jump Festa that we brought up earlier as well. There you go. Unless this arc ends with Gaban saying the way to beat Emu has to do with the One Piece, then I think it's still 50-50. There you go, Mike. Secret Turtle says, I think Usopp will convince Dory and Broggy to start fighting each other, and that Usopp will truly shine soon. I also think Usopp's going to shine. Usopp? I think Usopp is going to shine too. Usopp is going to shine soon too. I gotta try saying that 5 times fast. Thank you very much, Secret Turtle. James Wigg came through and said Emu could be like the primordial devil, from which all devil fruits originated, with Nika being the opposite. I do love that idea. I love that idea that maybe like Emu as the devil is the originator. I think that's very cool. I like that a lot. Jarl being called a couple of chapters ago, and then his face this chapter means that he's probably about to reveal that he's a beast. I do think the Jarl reveal, sword coming out of his head, full memories restored, is also probably coming sooner rather than later. I completely agree. Yeah. Completely agree that we're going to get some type of tie with him, especially after all the stuff that just happened with the library, him having to make the decision. I do think that's going to be probably one of those smaller mysteries of Elbaf that Oda's not going to be holding out for much longer. I do think we're going to get the answer to that very, very soon. All right, we got another donation. Wow, so many donations this week with Mike Moore saying, I love God Usopp having a brave warrior moment this month. It could be character defining, even better than Brook's power of friendship moment with Gunko. Well, yeah, I wouldn't say like Brook's power of friendship moment was necessarily like inspiring. It was more of like, oh, this is an interesting, cool way to take his character and like a way to flesh him out in a way that, you know, was somewhat believable. Again, I'm still standing by the fact she's not the daughter, that in some way like he was maybe a father figure to her, but it's not her biological, you know, Gunko is not his biological kid. It's not happening. Yeah. But I also agree. I think a lot of people are in agreement that Usopp in some way has to play a role in the story moving forward. And I do think it's, again, coming very soon. Austin Smith super chatted and said, if Emu is like a cartoon devil and he pulls out weapons like Elmer Fudd, I wonder if Loki will become a demon and if Demon Loki is the main boss of Elbaf. Demon Loki? I mean, I would be very worried if we have to fight a demon version of Loki and if that works with his devil fruit power. Because my assumption is obviously she gave Dory and Broggy powers, like they have demon powers now, but they don't really have devil fruit powers the same, or like creature powers the same way the Gorosei were shown to have them. So I wonder what happens when we know that Loki has a devil fruit power. If Loki becomes a demon, what that would even look like. He's already a demon. Loki's built differently. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what that... My assumption is I think Loki's going to be on the opposite side, but I wouldn't hate the idea of seeing like a demonized Loki at some point. I think that could be kind of cool. Let me see. Naruto Toadsade said, we need to see in a flashback what dives into who Brook was before his time with the Rumbar Pirates. We really don't know who Brook is. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that was teased throughout the course of this story arc that we haven't gotten reveals on. Harudin's relationship with Loki, the stuff with King Harold, now the stuff with Brook, all the stuff with the demons now, like stuff with even some of the kids and their relationships to the other giants. So to me, I feel like that's just one of those things that we'll get an answer to eventually. But I do think of all the small answers, Jarl's is probably the one that comes up first. But yeah. I'm also in complete agreement that I would love to see more of Brook's time before being a Rumbar pirate and how that ties into stuff with Gunko, though, for sure. I also think it's very interesting, the idea that, like, if Gunko traded lifespan for powers, now that we know that's how the Demon Pact works, if all of Gunko's lifespan gets restored to her upon having powers removed later during the story arc, if maybe we're going to see, like, a 70-year-old, 80-year-old old lady Gunko, right, who still has the arrow powers, but no longer has, you know, the ability to use the Abyss or to regenerate. And that could be kind of cool to have like old lady Gunko hanging out with old man Brook and reminiscing about the olden days. I think it'd be kind of cool. Yeah. In fact, I think that could be very cool. I just said that out loud. I'm like, I would love to see that. Vashuja came through in the super chats and said, Roger, on page 10, the symbols on the pentagram read Eris D. Tar, which could possibly stand in for Alistair, as in Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley. Who is Aleister Crowley? Oh, ceremonial magician, poet, novelist. He was an English occultist. I didn't even know about who this guy was. He died in 1947. Oh, interesting. That's interesting if he's going to tie in. I mean, I always love when Oda ties in like real characters and real people within the story of One Piece. I do love that idea. I never even noticed this before. Yeah, magician, poet, novelist, mountaineer, and painter. Huh, interesting. So he was an occultist. Aladi Star is kind of crazy though. How did you notice that? When you were looking at that, let me look. That was on page 10 again? I mean, that's pretty amazing that you saw that. Eris D. Tar. I'm going to look on the Viz version because the Viz version is numbered in a way that the Manga Plus version isn't. Let me see. Page 10, you said. Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, and it's in the ancient language. Huh. Wow. I mean, that's kind of an interesting concept if someone with the will of D created and researched the Abyss. That's actually super cool. I love that idea. And that further ties into like the blurring of the lines between like who's a devil and... You might be cooking with that one, Vashuja. You might be cooking. Also, Hollow Avarice just said one more quick one. Some people in chat pointed out that reversing is a game where white tiles are flipped to black. Maybe if Imu's powers are based off rules in games, Nika's chaos could be the perfect counter. That's what I've been saying, man. That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying, man. This whole time I've been saying that Luffy's power somehow might be able to reverse Imu. I do love that. Thank you, by the way, to all the people who are becoming members during the stream as well. I missed a lot of those. I'm going to read those out in a little bit. We have so much more we got to get through on the stream. We have anime live reactions to get to. We have episodes to watch. We have a lot of stuff still planned. So thank you, everybody, for coming on through and coming to the stream. Chaos Pudding said on that topic, I don't think we're actually talking enough about the game connection, about the reversey connection where the tiles are flipped to black. Well, what do you mean? Just the countering? I mean, what else is there to really talk about there? If it's like the reversal of the colors and Nika goes all white and you see him in Gear 5, I think that's a pretty clear reference, especially if you're talking about like the board game thing and switching all the tiles and them turning into demons. Yeah, it's not a huge surprise to me. I think, in fact, that's a pretty explicit reference. Yeah, I'm expecting more board game stuff to actually come from Imu. Oh, that would be kind of cool. I like that a lot. Thank you, by the way, to Keanu, who super chatted, didn't send a message, but thank you. Yeah, exactly. Heidi bringing up in the chat that Luffy's all white, exactly, while the Imu's color scheme is all black. So there you go with the reversey thing. Interesting. Mega Buster came through and said, I always had this thought that one of the reasons why hockey is just as vague and mysterious as devil fruits is what if by chance Imu created the devil fruits and it being tied to greed while Nika gave the world hockey or will? I don't know why I sounded like Kizaru when I went, Ben Beckman. That's cool. I like the idea that maybe the original Nika gave the world hockey to counteract the devil. That's kind of neat. That's actually kind of neat. Also, Keanu bringing up, remember when Imu said, what's taken so long last chapter? Do you think this might be foreshadowing that time does in fact move slower on Elbaf, adding to the relativity of the war in Marajoa having started so fast? You know, I said I don't like doing theories as much nowadays, but I have been thinking about this specific topic pretty much ever since you guys brought it up last time, that because we are in Final Saga, and because there is a lot of stuff to get to, that if maybe, and I know people would probably hate this, but if maybe through the time relativity thing and time spending longer on Elbaf, if maybe somehow, with Final War having already started, and some of the God Knights being summoned back, that maybe we enter Final War mise-en-scene. That when we start the Final War arc, Final War's already been going on for like 6 months. That, or like at the very least like a week or so, right? That Final War between the revolutionaries and the celestial dragons and the God Knights has been occurring the entire time that we're here. And that the only people really left standing by the time we get there are the named revolutionaries that we've been hyped up for so long. And that already by that point, so many people have been taken out. I don't hate that concept because I think with so much left within the story and so many other things to focus on with the main Straw Hats, some of their main allies, like them speeding things up a little bit to get us to a point where Final War has already started and we're already sort of in the middle of the action and we don't need to take a lot of time to build up to Final War. Like, because Final War has basically built up the entire story, we don't need like an exposition dump getting into it. We could just enter right into it. Yeah. I don't hate that idea. In fact, I love that idea. In fact, I may talk about it in a future video, maybe during a break week or something, because I really, really do love that concept. Yeah, a time skip without a time skip. That's something that people have been talking about, the idea of, oh, these characters need a time skip moving into Final War. And I'm like, we're not going to get a time skip, bro. We're in Final Saga. The 30th anniversary of the manga is happening in summer 2027. All right, we are quite literally 2 years and a month away from the 30th anniversary. So, like, I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's happening when we're getting like a full time skip. But I do think the concept of the switch and the relativity of the time is something we should look into for sure. Mike Moore also said, I actually just watched the Romance Dawn Season 2 episode. Interesting. Garp gives Luffy the fruit and the hat. Luffy wants to be a peacemaker, and the villain summons flintlocks and weapons from out of thin air. Honestly, not a bad pull, Austin Smith. So basically, by that point, right, the bringer of the peace, the liberator of the weak, right, the ones banging the drums of liberation, at the end of the day, in that original version of Romance Dawn 2, was still Luffy, and the villain was still summoning all these different weapons. Interesting. It was Ichiro all along. Man. And then finally, Hollow Avarice came through with another donation saying, wait a minute, damn, wait. In Reversi and Othello, when you have two pieces of the same color on either side, all pieces turn to that color. Kind of like the Giants. Because of the ones that were in the middle of the line. Oh! Brain blast. Yo, wait a minute. That makes total sense. So basically, let me remind you guys, what Hollow's talking about, when you're playing, I should boot up Clubhouse Games and show you guys. When you're playing the game, when you have your pieces lined up and the pieces flip, the pieces in between the two pieces turn. Meaning that all the giants in the line caught between Dory and Broggy's abyss circles all turned into giants as well. I mean, all turned into demons as well. Oh, man. That is good stuff. Stephen Dog said, I never thought when we started this chapter review that Clubhouse Games would be mentioned here, and yet here we are. Wow. Wow. This is great, man. Wow. Unbelievably cool. Well, with that being said, I still want to read some of these Nakama questions, and then, of course, we got to get to the anime episode. So let me read out some of these Nakama questions. I'm going to see if there's going to be stuff in here that was brought up before. Let me see. King Waffle said, we might be screwed. In 2 chapters, we got a situation worse than Egghead. When I saw the final spread and the final page, it really felt like the beginning of Final War instead of the height of Elbath. It feels like that part of a game where you get to the mid-boss fight or the final boss fight midway through, just to show how truly unprepared you are. You talked about how this arc is showing us contenders in Final War, and for some reason, I didn't think that Imu would display himself just yet. To be fair, that's kind of how we felt with the Gorosei entering Egghead Island as well, you know? It's time for Loki to show us why the Giants needed Shanks to tank him down. What other advantages do you think we have? Do you think that any other contender is coming to Elbath, and maybe your theory on Gear 5 bonding comes to pass? Bring it up to remind you guys, my idea was that basically, which people didn't like when I brought it up, but I'm like, you should probably just like, you should expect this is going to happen at some point, is that Bello Betty, right, has the power to cheer on and like, you know, get people excited. That's her whole thing. Bonnie has the power to change the future, but it's based on like her will and her drive. And Gear 5 Luffy has the power that's like the most goofiest power of all powers. If you've got the three of them together, and basically Bello Betty is acting like a battery, cheering on Bonnie as she's moving through, turning everybody Gear 5 temporarily, that might be a power boost to move into this. I honestly think it's something simpler than that, though. I really do think that Gabon is going to be the key to at least temporarily stopping these giants, and that Luffy is going to be the key to break them out of their pact with the devil. That essentially we need Gabon's power to stop the regeneration temporarily, to actually fight these creatures, and that Nika's power that we're going to see is his latent ability to break the pacts with the devils. I think it's going to be those two things combined. I think it does look kind of rough right now with the characters that we've got here, but again, we've got a stacked other side. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, Usopp, Chopper, Gabon, Loki, and Haruden and all the new giant pirates, plus Robin and Jinbei and the other characters that are here, and the other giants that we're taking control of, plus the potential of Aruj and Eneru showing up. I think we're looking good. I think where we are in the story currently, and with Elbaf being the land of, fighting and war and everything, it does make sense that we would be here now. It doesn't feel like this is power scaled out of Final War. It does kind of feel like where we are currently. Yeah. And again, Chopper's going so he can heal them, so that's not really that shocking to me. Aaron said, fun fact about the abilities of Imu Gunko, with the book that she has, Oda's pulling from the antagonist devil magic system from another mangaka, Black Clover. Basically, that book that Imu is using is a grimoire. I mean, we've seen this throughout all kinds of different things. I don't think Oda was necessarily inspired by Black Clover, but I mean, this is something we see all the time, whether it's like the Darkhold in Marvel or any other number of things that use like satanic powers or demon powers or whatever. There usually is some type of book that holds all the spells. Even Wicked, bro. Even in Wicked, right? Where there's like the Grimoire in Wicked where Elphba's going, Elakanamin, and she's using all the powers. How am I referencing Wicked and Clubhouse Games in a One Piece stream on Sunday morning? This is crazy, but still in all, yeah, they're in a lot of stuff. So I don't think he's referencing Black Clover. But look, Black Clover fans, you got to take it where you're going to get it. You know what I'm saying? All right, Shard Pop came through and said 10 out of 10 chapter. But my question is, was King Harold forcibly turned before Loki had to kill him? We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, that's probably a possibility. And was Gunko forcibly turned years ago? Absolutely, positively. That is a lock, guaranteed. Somehow, whenever we see that flashback with Gunko and the family and Brook, that is going to come into play. Most definitely, Gunko was turned. No doubt about it. Yes. Now, in Reversing Othello, and this is going back to the other thing we were bringing up earlier. In Reversing Othello, pieces are double-sided and flip between black and white. And when 2 black pieces are on either side of 3 white pieces, they flip to black pieces. Meaning that if 2 demons can flip 3 giants in the middle, can 2 Nikas flip them back? Can 2 Nikas flip them back? So like Bonnie and Luffy can go on either side and be like, come on! And then they flip the other giants and that's how they solve it. That would be crazy if it all comes back to a board game. We would have to do a whole playthrough stream of playing Othello and Reversi and Clubhouse games in honor of what's going on in One Piece. That's so funny. Yeah, exactly. Luffy and Bonnie could be the 2 white pieces. Oh, which is literally what you brought up here in your message, Rob. Saying this chapter also furthers my theory that Imu has some type of contract fruit, or someone in the chat said maybe a king fruit, that includes the ability to control abyss circles and people who walk through them. With one ability seen this chapter with the Reversi, which if you look again, sinks someone halfway through and then turns them over, forcing them to switch allegiances and turns them into demons. I do wonder if Imu did something like this to the Gorosei and if that's how they got their powers. But man, take a look at Broggy's arm on page 12. I mean, Broggy's arm on page 12 was looking rough, where you could see it literally split from his body, floating in the sky, holding up his axe. Incredibly creepy. As someone who just came from Dark Universe and Epic Universe, seeing weird body horror stuff like this, I wasn't expecting it during this chapter of One Piece. Very good stuff. Also, Megabuster super chatted again and said, when Whitebeard said the world will turn upside down, we're now given a whole new meaning because the characters are turning upside down. Brain Blast, very good. Clifford super chatted and said, I'm not sure if anyone's actually said this yet, but with Emu being here on Elbaf through Gunko, now of all times will be a bad time for Vivi to come to Elbaf, right? Will Vivi arrive before or after Mu leaves? I think Vivi arrives at the very end to be our way to get out of Elbaf into Marijoa. I think she pulls up with Big News Morgans. That's how I think this is going to end. I think Elbaf is going to end with the giants turned into demons being flipped back to normal, us finding out the truth about Loki, having him as an ally, us finding out more about the mural, more about the true history of the world, and Vivi showing up and taking them there. I could see that happening. Or potentially Luffy unlocking some type of good version of the Abyss powers and just straight up teleporting them there would be kind of cool. Because again, if Emu is able to create these Abyss circles, maybe Nika is able to use good ones too. Who knows? We'll see. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Let's see this. Let me see this. My only question, this comes from J-Man Joestar, is what prevented Emu from doing this at any other time in the series? I hope the solution to saving everyone isn't just going to be a huge amount of hockey. Emu is definitely proving he's final boss level. I don't see how Blackbeard's going to surpass him in the future. Again, I think if Blackbeard surpasses him in the future, it's simply going to come from the fact that he's going to take the Devil Fruit power. Yeah, that's what I think. Shardpop also said, one other thing I noticed so far is when they get turned into demons, they have the same eyes as Big Mom's soul power, which again, I think is supposed to go in line with the whole thing of like, you trade your lifespan for extra power. You know, we've seen this already with Big Mom. We're seeing it again here. It just happens to be with a different Devil Fruit power, but the way it's represented is the weird fire coming out of your eyes. Yeah. Interesting stuff. Joker Fallen One wrote a super, super long Nakama question, but I am going to read this, saying the chapter made a lot of people cheer, and some people actually don't like the direction. But I've seen the theories of what happened before to Harold, with the credit that it really doesn't make sense. Harold made the deal without knowing and tried his best to protect his children, hence the prophecy knowing that one day he could be taken over and hopefully Loki would kill him. Now, 14 years ago, Emu tried to take control and make Elbaf into all the demons, but Jarl sees Loki as his Nika, and Loki sees himself as Nika or above his father. They were ineffective to the curse due to not seeing Harold as their king or captain, commenting on Emu talking about a land without a king. But all the castle guards were turned. So maybe Jarl and Loki killed them all, and Loki had the advantage of the amnesia or Loki took the advantage of the amnesia and hid this or even part of Jarl's plan to protect Loki. I think you mean to say Jarl's amnesia and not Loki's. I understood what you meant though, regardless. Saying that basically Jarl has the amnesia, not remembering what happened, is a way to protect Loki. Yeah. It's a wild theory, and I felt a little spoiled reading it, but it does make sense and logical. I do wonder, though, altogether, if Luffy saves them all, will they lose their lifespan and their age when they get reversed? I love the streams, by the way, and one thing I saw people pointing out is that Blackbeard could kill Emu at the end of Elbaf, or vice versa, with some people hating Emu as the final villain or Blackbeard as the final villain. We've brought up this Emu Blackbeard thing and Blackbeard taking the power at the end of Final War a lot, so I'm not going to dive too much into that. In terms of the Jarl and Loki thing as well, we talked about that on a couple occasions throughout the course of the stream, that obviously has some type of tie with this, and that Harold knew about these powers. I think it's just a matter of finding that out officially. Naruto Toadsaid also said, yes, the name of the game, Reversi, is also known as Othello. So maybe there is a connection, and also a connection to the tragedy of Othello. For those of you who don't know Shakespeare, Othello is the story in which he kills his wife because he thinks that his wife is cheating on him. And then it ends up being the case that, nope, it was a lie. And actually his most trusted ally lied to him. And then Othello dies as well. So yeah, spoiler alert for the Shakespeare play Othello. It's quite good. It's also running on Broadway right now with Jake Gyllenhaal and Denzel Washington. But tickets are absurdly expensive. So maybe don't go see it. Maybe just go watch one of the movie adaptations instead. Finally, last but not least, we have one more Nakama question before we get to the anime reaction from Klex, saying, I was worried with everyone hyping this chapter up that it was going to be something hype for some people, but that I wouldn't like it. But no, the chapter was pure hype. I do think Rob was right that this may be a contract fruit, or perhaps Heidi's idea of it being a king fruit, and each contract being more like a royal decree. Personally, I think it's likelier to be a contract fruit with whoever eats it forming a contract with Emu. Again, I think you guys are thinking too specifically, right? I really do think the contract thing is tied with the myth of like making deals with the devil and contracts with the devil. And this is just part of the devil fruit, you know? But it could be something as simple as a contract fruit if they don't want to give someone an outright devil fruit. But I think the fact that there's like summoning circles and a grimoire and all these different yokai and demons and the demon tail and the trident, it just seems it seems too close to being like an actual devil for it to be anything else. For me, personally. But I like the idea that it actually could be something else, you know? Clack said, my crazy theory is that Imu is the representative of the actual devil and that there actually isn't a devil fruit. And the contract fruit is the actual original devil fruit as the representative of like the contract with the devil. That's kind of interesting. And that maybe Gunko, and that Gunko would be representative of Eve being the one to take the fruit. Each era essentially having its own Eve, which doesn't necessarily even have to be a woman, who eats the contract fruit and forms the contract with Imu, carrying out their plans. Interesting. Doesn't fully explain the arrow power, though. Again, I think it's something where Gunko herself, I don't believe, ate whatever the fruit is that Imu has. I believe that Imu's fruit, which again furthers my belief that it's like a devil fruit, has something to do with like possession, right? That he's able to possess other people regardless of whether or not they have devil fruits. Because technically we already know Gunko has the arrow fruit. We know that already. That's been outright spelled out. And we know that the only character with multiple devil fruits is Blackbeard. That's been set up on multiple occasions. So my assumption is that it's not that Gunko has eaten some type of fruit. It's that Imu is using Gunko as his vessel or their vessel or whatever currently to do his bidding within Elbaf. And that all these possessions, contracts, abysses, reverses, whatever, all have to do with the devil. Yeah. Either way, great chapter. We got one more super chat over here from Elder Vault saying, I think honestly this chapter warrants a relook at the mural one day too. Specifically the far left of it. I mean, we could look at the mural. Let's take a look. I mean, the far left of it, I can remember this clear as day because I was looking at that mural nonstop for like 3 days. You're talking about the fight with Imu, right? Where you get the giant version of Imu that looks like a devil, and then you've got all the different forces fighting against him. I mean, we talked about that a lot. I've been saying that Imu was going to be a devil dating back to like, 4 years ago? So I feel like none of this is really new to me in terms of the idea that like, there's going to be some type of demon power infused with Imu. I think it's more like I'm just amazed to actually see it being fleshed out here, Amazing stuff. There's also another super chat. This one comes from Anime Alex, who said the similarities in Imu and Big Mom's soul abilities indicate that Brook might also be able to counter Imu and rescue Gunko. Imu probably was the one that created the ancient giants. So we talked a little bit about that with Ors. I want to focus on what you just mentioned earlier with Brook. I love the idea. See, again, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Who was it in my Nakama questions? King Waffle, right? Who said they were worried that things are looking a little too scary right now. We got multiple potential counters. With Nika, with Gaban, and now maybe potentially with Brook, with Robin and her love for Saul. Like, there's a lot of potential ways that he could write himself out of this. Utilizing the soul, or utilizing the heart, or utilizing freedom, all these different concepts that would still make sense within the context of the story. I've always thought it was a little weird that Brook literally had the soul fruit and straight up just wasn't able to one-shot counter Big Mom. I did think that was kind of weird. Considering Big Mom's whole thing is like lifespan, his is literally the soul. It transcends lifespan. So I do think the idea of the soul being used in a way to counteract Imu's possession, right? To potentially like bring their real soul back is kind of cool. Maybe Brook's music influences it and brings Gunko back and like removes the possession from Gunko, and then they figure out they could do it to everybody else. And then maybe he played. Wait a minute. I have an idea. What if Brook plays the Song of the Drums of Liberation to free everybody? Right? What if Brook, which I think is awesome that Brook is actually like playing a role in the story in a major way right now, but what if Brook, right, learns the song within Luffy's heart, and through his soul power awakening is able to like infuse people's souls with the drums of liberation? That is pretty cool. Because the whole thing is technically, like you're bringing up in the chat, Aditya, his fruit is not a soul fruit. It is like a revive fruit. It's like a revival fruit, which allows the user to revive once. But if Brook awakens, could he revive people's souls back to how they were before? We've also said that Bing Sake was going to play a role in the end of the story. Also, I misspoke earlier with the Soul Fruit thing with Brook and Big Mom. I know where my brain was going, but I was talking to Mile a Minute. I think you guys understood what I was saying there. I love the idea that, like, Soul King, Full Awakening, Revival cannot revive and bring everybody back to life, but could actually, like, revive their souls, which would be kind of cool. I like that. Lion Sun said, Roger told Ray that he was going to turn the world upside down, and Whitebeard said it too. Maybe it was about Emu's power being reversed. There you go. Again, new meaning to the world being turned upside down thing. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Well, with that being said, we've been talking about the manga chapter for an hour and a half. Let us get in to the anime live reaction. Let me open this up. Let me grab this over here. Get your timers ready. Supremely excited to see these Kuma flashback episodes. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Hope you are all having a lovely day today. Boom. Here we go. Formal said, I really thought this was going to be Usopp's arc, but I guess not. I mean, I've been telling people, do not expect this to be an Usopp arc. Expect the same way that, like, don't expect Wano after Wano to be a Zoro arc. Don't expect this to be just an Usopp arc. Yeah. Not One Piece related, but it sucks that Fidel got his Twitter and YouTube hacked. I know, man. It really is rough. As someone who went through the whole situation before, it's nightmarish. So, all right, let me open this up. That does really stink for him. Okay, let's open this up. Anime reaction. Everybody get your time sinks ready. Again, we are doing a double anime reaction this week. We are doing anime episode 1130 and anime episode 1131. So let me open this up. Boom. Here we go. Make sure all this is recording. Make sure we're recording here. Make sure my camera is filtered. Make sure everything's looking good. Okay. There we are. One Piece. Okay. Bring this up as well with the timer. We got the subtitle layer here as well, so you guys can see where we are. You know what's going on. Very good. I'm going to move this right over here. Move this down just a little bit. All right. Here we are. One Piece be under current, right? Yeah, here we are. 1130 and 1131. This one is called A History Erased, God Valley of Despair. And the second one, A Fleeting Moment of Happiness, Kumachi and Ginny. These are going to be brutal. These are going to be absolutely brutal. But we're going to see. All right. One more quick thing I want to do. 1 second. Let me adjust this. I'm just going to change the font over to the font we've been using for some of the new thumbnails. I see you guys have been noticing. I've been hard at work these past couple days. All right. Episode number, we are on 1130. Boom. Very, very good. All right. Let's get into this, everybody. We are getting started with One Piece anime episode 1130 from season 14. Okay. Here we go. Open this up. Sound settings. Headphones, power on. There we go. I'm super hyped for this. I'm going to go watch the anime first. We'll rewatch later. You got it. You got it. Okay. Here we go. Open this up. A History Erased 1130. All right. We are getting started in 3, 2, 1, go. Nice, 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 nice. All right. All right. Hope you've all had a great day today, by the way. Incredible, incredible, incredible chapter of One Piece. Seriously, so good. And now we're watching a great anime episode. This is what I like to see. This is the type of hype that I wanted to bring on these One Piece Sunday streams. Thank you to everybody who's here right now. Greatly appreciate it. Just now starting? Yes, sir. We're just now starting. You came in at a good time. Came in at a very good time. mm, 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 uh, 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 mm. Da 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 da. Mm. Da da da. Da na 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 na. Time for a peek flashback? Absolutely. Great chapter, new episodes, chopper reveal for the live action. We are eating good right now. Absolutely we are. Great, great, great song. I'm excited that Oda's finally doing something for Brooke in the manga as well. Me too. We're not going to do too many manga spoilers right now, obviously, because people are watching this, want to be unspoiled. Anime onlys who are watching this. Hold on, I just got to... Oh, that's my alarm saying One Piece time. Oh. Kicking things off from his perspective as a kid. It's still so sad that he lost both of his parents like that. Man. Thinking back to those moments with his father. Being told that his mom is dead and then watching his dad. That's why do we have to sit through this again? I don't want to see this again. No. No, man, come on. That blood splatter across the face was still one of the wildest things. Oh, man. Yeah, what they're doing at the POV of him blinking. Oh, man. Man, this is brutal. But again, the way they're building this up makes it all the more satisfying once Kuma finally gets his comeuppance. Against, I should say. You know who. But I'm not going to get too much into it. You guys got to watch it. Yeah, if they're going to recap stuff, this is probably a good way to do it. All right. Ginny and Ivankov, here we go. I choose life. What about you guys? A history erased. The God Valley of Despair. Okay. Very cool shot of God Valley like that, too. What is this music track they're using? The 13 super rares and the 150 rare rabbits. Any one-hit kill will earn you a bonus, and we have fine prizes. I'm so excited for anime people to see what's in one of those two. Also, that line where Garling says, "Watch closely, children," knowing where he is and what's going on has extra meaning to it, I feel like. When you know what's in the box. I'm still not over Blonde Garling, though. Blonde Garling's a little weird. There are 200 World Noble Hunters, and the hunt will begin an hour from now. Run! I love that Classic Navy HQ also looks a little bit more like Wano Country. Look at Young Kong, bro! It's so wild that we haven't actually seen Kong do anything in the current story at all. I told you not to poke the beehive. You can't screw with them. He's living his life over here, though. I wonder where the information leaks from. It's also so weird to hear young Garp's voice. Chilling on the beach with all these ladies by the pool. I don't know why. When we saw that scene way back when, I didn't picture it like that. That looked almost like too modern of a resort. And now here we are back on the pirate island of Fulalead. Great pacing was showing everybody's different views of this as well. Oh, I'm remembering. We're going to see a certain something this episode, aren't we? Either this episode or next episode. Oh, I'm excited to see that stuff colorized. I'm thinking about it right now. I literally forgot that it's part of this. No one can get off this island. And the very fact that such a cruel thing is happening will be erased from history. Man. Every last one of the 100,000 rabbits will be dead in 3 weeks when the competition is over. And he's just throwing dynamite at all of them? Horrible. I do wonder, though, like, knowing what's coming, I'm very curious how they're going to animate the entrance of, I feel like Oda's saying this, the entrance of those characters, right? I'm very excited. If you have hope, run for your lives. Killing people who sit in despair is no fun for them. We gotta escape from the game itself. Bro, the music is like blaring on this too. I have this down at 40% and the music is like all the way up. And the creepy little Den Den mooching watching the whole thing too. Grab Pillow-sama tightly. I got it right here. I got it right here. You guys are hyping up their entrance. It came out. You have a great jaw. Little Ginny doing reconnaissance over here. Also, real quick, chat, if you happen to know the answer to this, feel free to tell me. Is Ginny's young voice actor the same as the young voice actor for Bonnie? Young Bonnie. Because they sound kind of familiar. And that would be kind of a cute thing. Oh, there you go. You got the fruit. It enables its users to send themselves flying to a distant island. The pawpaw fruits on the island and the fruit that turns them into a dragon. Also, they're not the same voice actor. Well, they sound similar. So the actor's doing a good job. It is cool, again, when you get the reminder of that fish fruit being here that could turn you into a dragon, and knowing what happens with Big Mom and Kaido, and knowing what we've already seen in God Valley, and how it ties to this, and the pawpaw fruit being hyped up. There will be pandemonium, I agree, Ginny. But that's not enough to pull off the operation. One of us needs to attack the attention of the celestial dragons as a decoy. Okay? A decoy. Yeah, we knew already Kuma was going to do it. He's got the arrow still sticking out of his back. I'm big. I'll survive longer than the others. My man. And I'd rather not see anyone else die. He's just the best. He's just the best. How could you not love Kuma? He really is. Don't worry, we're not going to let anyone kill you. Which is also, it's so good. I really think Kuma's flashback is one of the best, if not the best, in the entire series, dude. It's so good. So well done. Here we go! Rocks Pirates have arrived! Oh, man. Bring them on. Dun-dun. Ooh. Ooh. Wait. The Rocks Pirates are getting a theme finally? Oh! Oh, tell me we're going to see all the young versions of them. It's No Use Navy. I love that it sounds like a traditional pirate song, too. And listen to Rox's voice. Wait, Rox. When did I become your subordinate? Here he is. Bakayero Ustasia. Miss Bucking. Oh, man. Oh, dude. And Gloriosa, young Gloriosa there. Shiki. Oh, man. Oh, I love that we're fleshing out their full young Big Mom with Prometheus on her hand. They're doing a way better job with this than they did in the manga. Young Kaido. Oh, man. Oh, man. That full of rocks will surely forget what we're here for. I love that they spent extra time on Stussy. Oh, man. I'm going to send everyone flying. Shiki. Oh, dude, they went all in for this. Wow. We even got Silver, and we got his voice. Man. There he is. Oh, man. And then they're showing the flashes of the other two. They're like, you don't need to worry about them right now. Bro. The intro of the Rock Spiders with their song was fantastic. Wasn't expecting them to flesh it out that way. Very happy that they did. Again, I felt like it was just one panel, blink and you missed it in the manga. But they really did a good job of giving everybody a good line and showcasing what they looked like when they were younger. Bro, just look at the look of Roger's ship back in the day, too. We're arriving. With his straw hat right there, too. Oh, man. This is hype. This is hype. And Gabon. I love that they're highlighting Gabon right now, too, right after Silver. Oh, man. Oh, they're doing a great job on this. Let's go, Holy Knights. All right. There you go. Roger, Gabon, and Rayleigh and the Rocks Pirates. Man, the Rocks voice reveal I thought was quite nice. Roger and Rocks. We might not be able to hold out any longer. Huh? We know showed up the hero of the Marines, my guy. Garfa! Tell me where Roger is. Let's go. Fresh off his visit with the island of the hot ladies. Let's go, Garp. The players have all arrived. I also really like what they're doing with this episode, where they're showcasing Rock showing up and Roger showing up and Garp showing up. But the way it's intercut with these scenes, it makes a little more sense why we didn't see the full perspective of what actually happened in God Valley. Because we're only seeing what the two of them were worried about with the pawpaw fruit and with the other fruit. And we know what's going to happen with that, considering Big Mom. Here we go. Coming right in. She landed and already face to face with a young Ivankov, grabbing the fruit to eventually give it to Kaido. Kuma, you better get out of there. Give me that one too. Eat it, Kuma, do it. It's also kind of crazy that he can just hold her back with a little bit. Don't think about it. Eat it, Kuma. We just saw her burst through the wall, though. Eat it and survive. At least Big Mom didn't kill Ivankov, though, or rip his lifespan away. Even if one of us survives, there you go. Paw away. We'll win. Nakama. Oh, man. Dude, they're doing such a good job. The hype of him eating it, running through the burning God Valley area. Oh, man. And then Saturn showing up. That piece of garbage, Saturn. The Buccaneer boy. Ooh, and the shock of the... Your lot in life is to be a slave and to die. It's been decided by the course of history. What scum? He's scum! He's scum. Are you important, mister? It's strange that some people are born to be important. But there's no point in being born if you're a slave from birth. Man. If I've got some kind of power, just like Nika, there you go. I want to save as many of these people as possible. And see, Saturn knows that's why he's dangerous. Man. This incident would fade into the dark shadows of history. I love the clashes with the Conquerors coming off of that too. Garp's heroic tale. That's all the information they're going to reveal, huh? The world's as powerful as it wants to be. And the supporter named Morgans is garbage. You get Morgan's name out of your mouth, Ivankov, all right? I'll take Morgans over you any day. I love Big News Morgans. When I think there were still lives I could have saved that day. In that chaos, you saved 500 of them. My man was paw-pawing all over the place. They all thanked you in tears, and it brought me to tears too. Ooh. The hands of liberation. The warrior of liberation will come. And he's thinking like, oh. Really well done. All right, go have fun, Ivankov. I'll never forget your face. It's a little big. I don't think you're going to be able to forget it. I'll stay here with Kumachi and think about what to do with my life, big bro. Ginny. Since I'm 4 years older than you, I have to feed you. Nande. A little bit of a glimpse at their life when they were happy with that happy little Dragon Quest music playing in the background. Oh, man. Logan said, come on, Ivankov over Morgan all day. Now, I love Morgans. Morgan's one of my favorite characters in the series. I love Big News Morgans. I love that statue they just revealed of him, too. No more scavenging or stealing. Let's earn money and buy food. And then you guys, well, I'll talk about it when we get there. I don't want to spoil things too early. See, that is the beauty and also the hard thing about being a manga reader who watches the anime. These two. Now, if you'll remember, for those of you that are anime only, these two kids were actually grown up with Bonnie when she arrived at Sabaody Archipelago. These two were actually on her crew. Because I didn't remember them, but my chat reminded me, and I was like, oh, you're right. Ginny said, I'm taking them all out. All right, you can be our friends now. Don't worry about it. Ginny's great. She can take the pain right out of you. That was amazing, Kuma. But we know who took the pain because you can see him all wrapped up in bandages now. Tanking it for everybody, knowing he can handle it. Ah, Kuma. This music track, man. The cello music, it reminds me so much of, if you've ever seen the movie Departures. It's a fantastic Japanese film. Okuribito is the name of it. There's a cello song that plays as a leitmotif throughout the course of the whole movie, and that's kind of what that song reminds me of. And knowing what the composer said at the One Piece concerts, that he's trying to make people cry with the Kuma flashback. Is this live, or are you recording it? No, this is live. What's up, Jay? Welcome. I mean, it'll be uploaded as a recording afterwards, but it's live when you're watching it. She's crying. He doesn't want to see anybody else cry. Ooh. Ooh. So, it sounded like a Pikmin track almost. What should we eat today? Interesting. Oh, and the POV of his eyes welling up too? Bro! Don't cry! Come on, man! Oh, man. What the heck, dude? Doesn't even feel like a One Piece music track. Looking up at the moon, crying of happiness. I'm so happy. Man, excellent, excellent episode of One Piece. Wow, that ending little bit with the music, I am so glad that we did a double live reaction and I didn't watch this off stream. Also, the introduction of the stuff with rocks, I thought was very well done. And you got to remember, this is just the start of what we're going to be getting here with this flashback. This is just the very beginning. This is when they're actually happy. They're actually living their lives. They see hope. Everything else moving forward, not going to be super hopeful. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the episode number over here to 1131, and we are going to hop right into it. A fleeting moment of happiness, Kumachi and Ginny. This is today's episode of One Piece. Just came out. We're watching in 3, 2, 1. Let's go, Toei. Let's go. Let's go. Show me what you got. Show me what you got. Man, that was really incredible stuff, though. The POV shots of Kuma paired with the rocks showing up at God Valley, the stuff with Young Garp, and the new music tracks, 2 of them. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. James said, I forgot there's a new one. That's why we're watching it right now, of course. We got a double episode reaction today. Man, oh man. And obviously next week we'll be back with the new episode and the new manga chapter back to back. But wow. Wow, 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 wow. Great stuff here. Da 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 da. Mm-mm. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I suppose. Beautiful. By the way, I've seen the episode twice now and teared up both times when Kuma said, "Don't cry, Ginny." Also, you guys said the new episode isn't available yet. It is. It is absolutely available. We're watching it over on Crunchyroll right now. 11:31. We're watching it right now. Haven't watched this new episode either. Again, it just came out 30 minutes ago, so we're watching it fresh. We would have watched it earlier, but again, we had the episode. A fleeting moment of happiness, Kumachi and Ginny. All right. Going back 30 years ago. In the Sorbet Kingdom. And this is 8 years after the God Valley incident. All right. The life that Kuma and Ginny are building over here. Where's the reaction to the new manga chapter? Earlier in the stream, and it will be uploaded separately so you could watch it as well. You can see once again, Kuma is still taking the pain from all the old people. You can't keep doing this though, Kuma. You've always been such a great help, Kumachi. I've been attending the church since your father's time, so honestly, I was surprised when you suddenly disappeared. But we were relieved when you came back. I'm sure your parents are happy somewhere, knowing their son has become a great pastor at the age of 17. And again, he's still tanking all that pain. Man. I'm going to head on out to have my own reaction. Enjoy, everyone. Have fun, Nick. Enjoy the episode. The VOD will be here. Just Sundays. Grown up Ginny. And now at this point, because what, she's 4 years older? So she's 21. Here comes the mean Ginny. This is not a campground or a hospital, so go away. I love the theme there, the flute theme for Ginny as well, that they gave her own theme. Excellent. Men from the town never stop asking her out. Because she's here with Kuma. She doesn't want to spend time with other dudes. Exactly, she's already got Kumachi. Nani? You got the little blush. We nailed it. You can't deceive us. We're not living longer for nothing. Seeing Kumachi's face helps us relax. He's so nice. He's just so sweet. Young Kuma's voice is just absolutely killing it, dude. So good. It's already hard enough to get by because of the heavenly tribute. And now we've got this new king over here, too. King Bukori. Famously cold and heartless. Oh, I forgot about this guy, actually. Yeah, this entire portion of the flashback. I remember what happens, obviously, at the end of it. But I don't remember this little bit of stuff during it with King Bukori. But obviously we know where this leads with all the stuff with Kuma the Tyrant and, ruling the kingdom and the title he took on to protect people and stuff. So, yeah, seeing all of it play out. That's right. Again, bro is 17 and he's taken all the pain of all these old people. Like, that's a lot of old people. Imagine if you went to a nursing home and took all of the pain and the creaks of every old person, you put that within yourself, you'd be dead. You'd be dead. Man. Like Ginny said, oh, you're too sweet to him, but she doesn't fully understand, I think, at this point, just how sweet he actually is. Or she does. Right. Because she knows he's about to take it all. There you go. Man. And playing this song paired with it. Oh, man. Dude. Oh, Kuma. Oh! The way they're animating him taking the pain, too. Man, oh man. The fact that it's rumbling the church. Man, oh, I love the hard lines they're doing on that, though, too. And now she's going to have to heal him up. Man. And he's going to do this every week for them. Ginny, I don't blame you for crying. They don't even know that you're suffering. How could you do it? It won't disappear until someone accepts it. If left untouched, it would just return to the person it came from. And I feel delighted to see everyone happy. It's just brutal too, because I know, like, if I was in Kuma's position, I don't know what I would do, because if they're surrounded with people that they love on the island, and he has to put the pain into somebody, obviously he doesn't want to, there's like nobody to put it into. He has to take it for himself. But I'm wondering, like, if it works, where could you put the pain, they're obviously eating like egg sandwiches and stuff. Could you put the pain into the thing you're going to eat? and like kill it instantly? Or is there just so much pain that you need something to actually absorb all of it like a sponge? That you can't just like put it into a salmon you're going to cook up. You can't put it into a chicken you're going to cook up. You have to actually put it into something where it's not going to go back. Man, Kuma, he's just the best. Meanwhile, he's grown. He's 22 now. Got the news coups handing out the news. Morgans is now a fledgling reporter. So all those people earlier saying they didn't love Morgans. I'm sure it has to be a living thing. You can put it into live animals. Exactly. But then you don't want to kill like... it's rough, man. But Kuma's doing pretty good doing this every single week. Making some coffee. Speaking of, I got my coffee over here. I barely even touched. We had such a crazy manga reaction. Yeah, I love this banjo track that they're using with the single string, the acoustic, because it does sort of capture like, let's get married, Komachi. Oh, man. No. Why? Let's just do it. I know you love me. Of course he does. I know I'll be happy, but he doesn't want to see anybody else die. And exactly, he doesn't want to pass that down to his kids. Oh, man. You need to understand, Ginny. I don't want you to be unhappy. Ugh. Now they're talking about the Revolutionary Army. She's like, I don't care about that, Baka! Yeah, exactly. The pain's got to be accepted by the recipient. Exactly. Otherwise, it would just go back to somebody. So you couldn't just put it into, like, a thing you're going to make. And they're still thinking about... Oh, man. The way they're putting all this stuff together and, like, the pacing of the flashback and what they're choosing to spend extra time on and what they're not choosing to spend extra time on, I think is brilliant. Like, I feel like if this was an older season of the anime, I feel like that whole sequence with the two of them as kids when Ginny was a kid would have been like half the episode. But they're moving at a really solid pace. And there's a lot of good stuff here, too. Taking you throughout his entire life. But Ginny just wants to be with you. She doesn't care about any of that. Oh, and the little xylophone. Da, da, na, na, na. Oh, man. Oh, man. They are nailing this. Absolutely nailing this. Yeah, they're bringing back like the classic music tracks at the right points. They're introducing new ones that really match the theming of what we're going through. Feels like early One Piece in the best way, man. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now Kuma's 25. He's got his standard hat on now. He's a pastor from the South. Seeing the poor grannies. You don't see anything happen to him. You know what you got to do, Kuma. I'm sure you've heard that the laws have changed. Now we're free to use people from the South however we want. Man. And he knows it's taking it back to his childhood. He's like, I'm not going to let that happen. Let's go, Kuma. You got some vessels to put your pain in. Man. Working these poor old people until they die. He's like, that's not going to happen. You see that? Ooh, that good shot of the Celestial. Ooh. There you go. There you go, Kuma. There we go. There we go. Send them flying into the walls. Look, he's usually a pacifist, but he knows when to help people. Wiped out their whole fleet like that, too. Oh, man. Woo! Let's go, Kuma. This is unforgivable, man. Ripping through the streets. Dude. Won't the people resist? Don't worry, people tend to be easily swayed by labels. Dude, this King Bakuri, I just forgot how ugly he was. It's been, like I said, it's been a minute since I saw this stuff. And he's only including the north part of the island as the Sorbet Kingdom now? Ah, brutal. The South can't pay much heavenly tribute. If we cut them off, the kingdom will become rich. I love the evil little red glow in his eye, too. Just watch today's episode. Isn't it fantastic? Really, the back-to-back, I feel like this was the right way to experience this. Like seeing them escaping the God Valley incident going into this. I was glad I was out of town last weekend now. We ran amok saying we wanted you back. And they beat the hell out of us. We did something out of character, but it felt good. Yeah, and see, he's seen the horrors of the world. He knows he cannot let this happen. The country is turning into a place where the poor suffer harsh discrimination. And Bakuri is simply the Celestial Dragon's puppet. The policy was put in his head well above him. If we want to rebel, we must be determined to fight against the world government. Oh, you're going to be revolutionaries. So now's as good a time as any. Well, let's go. And we know where Ivankov's going. I love, too, again, that this flashback not only works to build up, all the history with Bonnie and with Kuma and his morals and all the stuff with Vegapunk and everything going on in Egghead right now, but also really does act as like a great sort of like mini flashback for the founding of the Revolutionary Army being what it is at the current time of the story as well. It's quite good. There we go. Revolting. Let's go. Thanks to outside innovation, the Sorbet Kingdom narrowly avoided that evil policy. The king gave in, and the slave policy has been repealed. But now they know there's good. Oh, and Young Dragon! Your favorite guy created a scene. I'm sure going to like him at first sight, Dragon. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, man. And he's never going to forget that face. He knows that's Ivankov. Oh, with his little curly swirl. Oh, man. The man you're with. Let's go. Let's go, Young Dragon. Oh, dude. This revolutionary theme they're playing as well. Join us to change the world together. dun, 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 dun. And Ginny's like, I'm going too. This is my excuse. The freedom fighters who transformed people's anger at governments into protests decided to finally take up arms in response to the advent of the pirate era and the tragedy of Ohara. Adding Kuma to their twin pillars of Tragan and Ivankov, they transformed themselves into the Revolutionary Army, baby! The Revolutionary Army is born! Ha ha, man! Oh, dude, this is good. We're to train those who wish to use weapons and fight. I want it to be a huge army spread across the world. Man. Also, yeah, you bring up a good point in the chat, too. The whole thing at Marineford, where Kuma doesn't remember his face. Exactly. Knowing that the Kuma that he knew and loved is no longer in there. Or thinking that. I'm with you to the end, Dragon. Man. You won't regret it. God, it's so good. So good! And again, the use of these flute tracks, I don't know if you guys are noticing this too, like with each layering of this track, they're adding more instruments to it. So like before, Ginny's theme just had the flute, and now it's the flute, but now it's like a harpsichord that's being added to it. They're adding to their ranks, building the hope. 8 more years passed. And 14 years ago in a certain kingdom, oh man. And Ginny now is the leader of one of the forces. Oh boy. I am wondering. Tomorrow I get to meet up with Kumachi's group. I wish I were Captain Kuma, he said. He's loved by everyone's crush. This, see, I want to know who this is. Manga readers, we still don't know who this is. So, oh, that's a good shot too. Ginny has been abducted. Oh! And what was the whole thing he said to her at the end of the last episode where they were crying? Man. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Dude, first off, I think this is an excellent episode as well, especially pairing it with the previous episode. I loved the briefness with which we got through the Bakure stuff and the leading into the stuff with the Revolutionary Army, and that the stuff that they actually expanded upon and shown more of was the stuff with Ginny and their relationship and building out like how nice he is to the old people within the town. That scene of him taking everybody's pain for himself and Ginny nursing him back to health, saying, I want to marry you, and him being like, I don't want you to be unhappy, knowing if we have children, they're going to have Buccaneer blood, they're going to be cursed to have a bad life. It's brutal. I will warn you, anime-only watchers, it gets rough from here. I would say don't go into the next couple episodes expecting happy-go-lucky One Piece. Go in knowing you're probably going to cry and you're probably going to feel something. These next couple episodes are going to be rough. But I think the way that they handled the themes of hope in this one, and the layering of the new music tracks, bringing back old classic music tracks to instill like the early days of adventure from the early days of One Piece, seeing young Dragon, seeing all the young members of the Rocks Pirates in the early during the earlier episode in 1130. Absolutely brilliant. So here's what we're gonna do. We have been going for 2.5 hours now, doing our live reaction to the manga chapter, doing my reactions to these 2 episodes. I'm going to timestamp all this, have this uploaded, upload my reaction and review for the manga chapter, and I'm probably going to splice out one of my reactions to one of these shorts as well. This was absolutely fire. absolutely fire. Such a good chapter of One Piece. So many good episodes of the anime. We've got a new chapter of the manga and the new episode of the anime next week as well. So many good theories as well. Thank you again to all the members who came through during this. I want to give a shout out to the people who became members. Thank you very much once again to Keanu Deers for becoming a member. Thank you again to Satwick for re-upping his membership. And thank you to Gino for becoming a member at the Nakama tier during this stream as well. Thank you all so much once again. Again, make sure you are subscribed and you have your notification bell on so you know when I go live, even though it's the same time every Sunday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, with my live reaction to the new manga chapters and the new anime episodes. Thank you once again, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Nakama!